Greetings and welcome to this week's True Sky Sidereal astrological weather forecast, also known as alchemical astronomy, as we are looking at the current positions of the luminaries as they are in the visible sky, moving through the constellations known as the zodiac and measuring the alchemical energetic side effects of these energies combining with one another. You might be thinking, hey, wait a minute, isn't this just what astrology is? But you would be mistaken, as tropical or Western astrology is not actually based on the stars. That's what sidereal means. This lens is even a bit more specific than Vedic, though, which is sidereal of the stars, accounting for the precession of the equinoxes, where in the line of the ecliptic, this yellow dotted line you're seeing on the screen moves 1 degree in the sky every 72 years. So we're about 23 degrees off what tropical says. But this lens is even more specific as we look at the varying sizes of the constellations. They're not all 30 degrees because they're different sizes. And there is a 13th sign down here. It's kind of hard to see below the horizon. Where are they? Here we go. Ophiuchus, the hidden sign over the galactic center, the serpent bearer, sharing the sky with Scorpio, creating a death and rebirth portal in the 8th house. So if you're here to evolve as a celestial being, this is the lens of astrology that I would recommend. If you're interested in the human psyche and living the same year over and over, trapped in the lower cycles of the earth, then go ahead and use tropical. I digress. So let's get into the rundown. We're going to look at the line of the ecliptic and where the luminaries are, and then I'm going to go through the various aspects this week. Not a whole lot going on as far as actual aspects or interaction between the planets, so some sign changes. So let's get into it. So the sun, as we can see here, is in Aquarius, the water bearer. Okay, this is where we're behind. We're not in Pisces season yet, but we're getting close. Okay, so here's Pisces, and you can see right here the difference between the constellations, right? So Pisces is quite large. It takes like twice as long to get through Pisces as it does to get through Aquarius, as far as its presence on the line of the ecliptic. Okay, so in Aquarius right now, we just have the sun, and on the very cusp. So I'm recording this kind of later. It's later on Monday. So technically, Mercury and Saturn are in the cusp of Pisces now, and they are going to be conjunct tomorrow, right? You can see they're basically right on top of each other here. This app is called Night Sky. I'm using it on the MacBook version because I like the visuals of it. There's a number of different star charting apps. You can use astronomical star charting apps. I was using Star Chart before. Stellarium is another one that people recommend as well. But basically anything where you can point your phone at the sky and see where the luminaries are will do the job. Okay, so in Pisces, we've got also Neptune and Venus. So a lot of energy in Pisces. I just made a video a day or two ago about the new moon that's coming up on Thursday, going into the more specifics. I'm not going to go into as much detail with this forecast this week because I am burnt out. I'm getting to that point. My menstrual cycle correlates with the new moon, and the lunar cycle. The new moon is the lowest energy point. Plus, we've been getting walloped with solar flares the last couple of days, and so yeah, I want to do this because I like connecting you guys with this information, but I just don't want to go into that much detail this week. So I'm just being real. Check out the video I made on the new moon for more analysis on what's going on in Pisces here, but basically how we're thinking. Rules and regulations like responsibility. We're taking spirituality more seriously. Neptune is a double whammy of Pisces energy. Like Pisces is deep intangibility and spirituality, like dark night of the soul kind of energy, mutable water. So Venus is how we value things. Neptune is spirituality. Saturn is responsibility and rules, and Mercury is how we think. Okay. So we're like taking spirituality seriously. We're valuing spirituality. We are able to see through the illusion of the physical and access the etheric realms. And we're thinking about that sort of stuff too. The sun will be moving into Pisces soon enough as well. Okay, so moving down the line of the ecliptic here, doing our little run through. See, there's Aries right there, the little ram. And then we've got Taurus, the bull, another larger constellation. We've got Uranus and Jupiter, quite comfortable here in Taurus, and will be here for some time since they are slower moving planets. Oh, yes, I forgot to mention as well, Venus is going to be in Pisces for some time because it is in retrograde now. So it's going to be in retrograde for 40 days. It'll move to basically to the edges of Pisces, and then it'll redo it all, right? So a very long period, the next couple of months with Venus in Pisces, really pushing us to value receptivity, the void, the feminine expansive energy, as well as our spirituality. Moving down the line of the ecliptic here, we have Mars, our friend, that has recently gone direct as well out of retrograde. It was in retrograde since early December. Started out in Cancer, the crab down here, and then finished its retrograde in Gemini, the twins, as far as knowledge goes, right? So we had this long period of reconsidering how we assert ourselves. That's what Mars is the self, how we assert ourselves. We started off in December thinking about how we assert our needs and nurture ourselves and take care of ourselves in that sort of way. And then we are entertaining different ways of thinking about that, different ways of going about connecting ourselves with more knowledge and different viewpoints that can help us to assert ourselves. Finishing up our tour of the line of the ecliptic, there's not a whole lot going on in the rest of the sky. Honestly, mostly everything is in Pisces right now. Pisces and Aquarius. So we'll just do our little zip through. There's Leo, Virgo, another giant constellation, Libra. And again, here's one of my favorite parts of the sky. So is Scorpio and Ophiuchus, the death and rebirth portal in the 8th house. Sagittarius. Where is Sagittarius? There it is. The Archer on the horizon right now as I'm filming this, and then the moon currently today almost in its new moon status. By the time we get to the new moon, it will be reaching the sun. It moves 13 degrees in the sky every day, so the new moon is on Thursday. So by the time that happens, the moon and the sun will be at the same spot in Capricorn. And by Capricorn, I clearly mean Aquarius. So let's start off looking at the moon transits for the week. I would say the moon is the highlight of the week, as usually is, since I follow mostly the lunar cycle the most closely. It is a luminary that affects us the most since it's the closest to us, has the most direct effect on us. It acts like a magnet to pull our emotions up into the surface. At this point of the lunar cycle, though, this is when the energy is the lowest. So I always say, if you are a human with a menstrual cycle, use that as your indicator of when to rest and chill and lean into surrender. If you are a human without a menstrual cycle, use the moon, specifically the period surrounding the new moon, in the same kind of effect, right? So if you're feeling low energy right now, lean into that shit. Don't push yourself to hustle and grind just because the overculture has convinced you that your productivity is inherently connected to your value. Okay, you are valuable when you're resting. It actually makes you more productive to rest. So if you're a human whose menstrual cycle correlates with the new moon like mine, this is a double whammy, and this is probably why I want to rest today, and I'm going to do this shorter. It's like this push-pull, and actually this is the theme of the new moon as well, is this push-pull between like creating structures that support us and leaning into surrender, right? Like, how can you create devotional structures that are coming from a heart-centered, internally locused way of being versus an externally locused, oppressive sort of way. So it's that balance between structure and responsibility, future type thinking, planning for the future, and also leaning into the value of receptivity. So, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Moon transits for the week. Right now, as you saw in the rundown, the moon is in Sagittarius. As I'm recording this on Monday afternoon, I'm probably not going to get this uploaded until Monday evening. So by that point, it'll be moving out of Sagittarius and getting into Capricorn. Tuesday and into Wednesday, it will be Tuesday and Wednesday. It will be in Capricorn. Tail end of Wednesday into Thursday, it'll be in Aquarius, right? That is where the new moon is going to happen. And then at that point, a little bit into Friday, it'll move into Pisces, and it'll be there for the rest of the weekend. So we'll have this movement from the innovative philosopher, carefree kind of vibe that we're feeling today with Sagittarius, a little more restriction and structure with Capricorn, a little more innovation and outside of the box thinking with the new moon on Thursday, and then the moon will be lost in the sauce in Pisces with everything else that's going on there. On Tuesday, tomorrow, we will be having Mercury conjunct Saturn. You can see in this image, even they're almost there. They're in the orb. We're feeling that effect, but it will be exact tomorrow. Okay, so Mercury, the planet of thinking, communication, transmission, the mental planet essentially, and Saturn, which is like Capricorn or the dad of the zodiac, rules, regulation, responsibility, being serious, being responsible kind of vibe. Okay, so we're basically with both of these planets at the cusp of Pisces. We're kind of still having this energy of Aquarius, which is innovation, freedom, rebellion, doing things differently, detached thinking, thinking differently kind of idea, shaking things up, Uranus energy. With the combination of Pisces. So Pisces is deep intangibility. It is a dark night of the soul. It is the void, which is the new moon as well. So kind of double energy with this like void theme. The receptive energy of the vacuum kind of vibe comes with Pisces. So like really valuing that receptive feminine energy. Nothing to do with gender either. We both have everybody both humans have receptive energy. Every human has both a feminine and a masculine pole within them. Okay, we all contain everything, and the universe functions on polarity. So I'm not saying just feminine as far as like women are concerned, but blah blah blah. I digress. I wanted to make this more concise, and I'm just like so tired that I'm rambling. But anywho, this conjunction, when a conjunction happens, it basically like blends the energies and magnifies both of them. Okay, so this energy of like thinking about this sort of combination of Pisces and Aquarius, and then also activating the responsibility of Saturn, right? So really what it's giving to me is taking this shit more seriously, taking your rest more seriously, putting your downtime into your calendar and making a priority of it, right? Like not letting that shit slide because there's things you need to do. Doing less, doing way less, not guilting yourself about it, and prioritizing that is what I'm getting from this conjunction. The next day on Wednesday, we'll have a very minor aspect where Mercury is sextiling Uranus as it moves away from Saturn. Mercury moves faster than the more outer planets. Mercury moves almost as fast as the sun does. So this sextile is like a minor aspect, but it's supportive. So it hitting onto Uranus is just kind of really amplifying this energy of rebellion and shaking things up and doing things differently. So again, prioritizing your rest, taking your spirituality seriously, and creating devotional practices to support you in being a spiritual being who is also human. You don't need to lose your humanness in order to be spiritual. Humans are meant to operate in the Pisces Vesica, which is like the middle part of the Venn diagram of materialism and spiritualism. We are in this body, in the material world, but we are also celestial magical beings. And it is it is time for us to embrace the fact that we have magical capacities and take that shit seriously. So I feel like this is the theme that's coming through. All of these transits are just hitting on the different themes and aspects of how to take your spirituality more seriously, your receptivity more seriously. And this is going to be going on for some time, as Saturn is going to be in Pisces for 3 years. Okay, it's just starting as far as Saturn's role is concerned. Okay, and then the only really other significant thing this week, as I mentioned, is the new moon. I already did a full 20-minute long form video on the energies of the new moon, but it is fairly complicated. There's maybe complicated is the wrong word, but there's like a lot going on as far as that is concerned. So we'll have the new moon apex at 7:45 p.m. on Thursday, February 27th. With the new moon, the sun and the moon are always conjunct. That's how it works. They're at the same point in the sky. We will also have a square between Mars and Chiron and Mars and Venus. So squares can create some tension. It can kind of go over or under. We tend to like overreact or underreact. Mars, the planet of assertion and the self, just recently going direct in Gemini, is giving us this forward momentum. And with that forward momentum, we're going to be clashing a little bit with Chiron, which is in Pisces. As well as Venus, which is in Pisces. Okay, so we're having these clashes with our wounds as far as our spirituality is concerned. That's what Chiron is. And then the square root of Venus is the push-pull between the masculine and the feminine. Mars and Venus are other ends of that polarity. So again, just that balance between doing and receiving, and learning to take space for yourself and really prioritize that receiving, since our culture has conditioned us that doing is everything. Okay, so we're going to have that that going on. And then also the moon itself, the sun and the moon, because they're at the same point in the sky, will also be in a square to Jupiter. Okay, so the moon, so like the moon and the sun are in Aquarius. There's a shit ton of energy in Pisces for the full moon. So a lot of water and air. So this square to Jupiter is going to help to kind of ground things out a little bit and bring things into a more expansive state of being. Okay, so essentially Jupiter is in Taurus, which is the physical world, and it's expanding that right now. So what it's giving to me is really the power for us to curate a new reality and the quickening in our ability to curate new circumstances around us by working on ourselves individually and an internally locus type of way, right? So using the energies of the lunar cycle to set new intentions, futuristic type of goals, like future plans, embracing devotion, like structures that will help you, discipline, is like the external, like the oppressive almost kind of energy. Devotion is the same energy from an internally locused, like heart-centered way of being. And really balancing the rest and productivity theme that I think I've gone off on almost this entire update. That's the main theme. Okay, like if I had to deduce the new moon into 2 words, it would be innovation and receptivity. Okay, new thinking about how valuable it is to take a frickin' rest. How much more productive you can be when you chill. How you can create structures that actually help you, and that like working hard doesn't have to feel bad when you're connected to your dharma. When you're connected to your dharma and you're working hard, it's fulfilling. When you're working hard and you feel like you're not going anywhere and you're striving for things outside of yourself, or you're just trying to live because that's the system that we're living in, that shit feels bad. And that's why we all have an opposition to hard work, or most people do, I should say, not everybody. But yeah, so we're kind of flipping the script on that with this new moon and like moving into a season where devotion, discipline, receptivity all have different value judgments. During this time as well, Mercury, the North Node, Saturn, and Neptune are going to be conjunct in Pisces. Okay, so we like how we think, the restrictions, the responsibility to taking things seriously, double whammy of deep intangibility with Neptune, and then the North Node, which is our dharma. Okay, like our dharma is to move into this more balanced way of being. And again, I'm going through this lickety split right now. If you want more details on the new moon, go ahead and look at the video I made a couple days on that. It's on TikTok and actually all 3 platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I do also still have space for 2 mini readings if you are somebody who would like to know how to maximize these energies. So your natal chart is basically like a bingo card. So if you look at the placements in your natal chart and then match it up with the lunar event, you can see if anything is sitting on any of your placements. So like, for example, Chiron is almost on my sun in my natal chart right now. So I'm like really like saying that, I'm like having throat chakra. I've been having some issues with my wounding around spirituality, okay? That's how it works. So if you want me to look at your chart, I have 2 mini readings open before I lose capacity to do anything. They're available on a sliding scale from 55 to 88 Canadian dollars. Slide on into my DMs if you want to snag one of those. Otherwise, that's all I got for you this week, folks. I hope you enjoy this rundown. Please rest if you're feeling the need to. Take time. Do not guilt and shame yourself. Do not feel that you need to do anything other than take care of yourself. Remember that rest is productive and that you decide what you're worth. You decide how you're going to move forward. You ultimately are the creator of your reality. It is an inside job. And if you are wanting to change your current circumstances, you're the only one who can do it. And you can do it by harnessing the powers of alchemical astronomy. So if you like this sort of content, you know what to do. Go ahead and engage with this video in every way that you can. Go ahead and leave me a comment because I love to hear from you guys. And stay tuned as I am still working on my Bright Lights Collective. It's going to be an integrative space for us to be able to connect and chat about all of these sorts of things. I'm also going to be teaching a course on true sidereal astrology, along with a whole lot of other different modalities that I'm familiar with, including human design and gene keys and the tarot and numerology, just to name a few. So if you're keen to connect with others on this path and learn more about countercultural beliefs, stay tuned for that. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.